can see it's getting darker and darker, and there's just no way right now for these drivers to know exactly what's going to happen.
These guys are going to have to be really, really careful and tiptoe around the track until it's either not even 10 minutes into this race, and I feel like we've got enough strategy going on for a whole event, but still a long, long way to go.
There's Yellowstone, there's Yosemite, but for racing fans and for Grid Life's Elkhart Classic, the destination is Road America, the National Park of Speed.
Three wide in the front of the field here. Look at the wheel tab up the inside for the race leaders. We head down to the first corner.
And these guys have no idea what they're coming into. Look at this field. They're 2 wide, 3 wide, a couple places slipping.
Side by side for the race lead. 54, 48 through 3 and 4. Working lap number 60, 110 laps to go. Yusuf Ghali power move to the bottom of the racetrack, making the short way work. They're going to touch down the hill.
This will be a great run for Fuller here.
Yes, if we go right off the track in the final quarter, that'll allow Fuller to get a massive.
Here he comes.
Does he have a look?
Oh, big block there by Sanfilippo. Into the grass goes Ben Fuller through turn 1, and Sanfilippo hangs on. He's loose. No! And he crashes hard in the exit of turn number 2. Don't try here, boys. They're going to do it. Let's go backside. They touch. They're going to crash. Gritsko going to slam the attenuator hard into the wall, and Jared Tesson hits him as well, and big damage on these cars. That's a huge
Number 4, people are struggling for grip, going out of every single lane, trying to make a run. It's getting really insane.
Powered by AWS for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli. And the Indianapolis 8-hour. We are 7 hours and 18 minutes into this 8-hour event.
John Miller way deep on the brakes to the inside of turn number 1 and 2. The spin, the 3 car gets turned around in the front of the car.
James Houghton looking for a place to go, but he's got Austin Cobb to the inside. Bit of a gap behind. I think that's about 15th or 16th spot as they come out of turn 3. Big slide for this.
Getting a run. He's got it. Going to be a drag race in line. Final corner. Checkered flag waving. Here they come. At Virginia National Raceway. To the line. Thompson, Darling, door to door. Banging doors. Fender to fender. I can't believe what we just saw.
For over 7 decades, Watkins, Glen, New York has hosted sports car racing in many different forms. Since before World War II and then after it, Watkins Glen has been the home base for so many racing series across the country: IMSA, NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, and more. Tonight, it's SCRS Ferrari Challenge heading into round number 3 of their 2020 fall season, and we're heading back to the hills and spills of Watkins Glen International, the 2.5-mile road course, so well known for amazing racing, fast speeds, and incredible action. Welcome to TV. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined tonight by Eric Mickey as we get ready to go racing for our 3rd round this season. Eric, welcome back. This racetrack always puts on a good show, but typically when you're here in a sports car, you're on the 3.5-mile layout. Tonight, we're on the short course, known as the Cup course. We're going to cut out the boot section tonight and run the NASCAR stretch from the exit of the carousel all the way down to turn number 10. Something new that we haven't actually been at this layout in several years here in SCRS Ferrari Challenge, so good to be back in one way or another.
Oh, yeah, and I think what you're going to see, the effect of that is going to be that there's the average speed of this lap is just going to be so much higher. The lap times are going to be very quick. They're going to be very close. Drafting is going to play a part, especially from the exit of turn 1 all the way up through to the bus stop down the backstretch, which we are running today. That's probably the most technical part of the track that they'll deal with today. But I don't know if you noticed, part of what this layout has done, I think, is brought the competition much closer, as in practice just a minute ago before it ended and we got into qualifying, the top 17 cars were in this AM Cup feature were separated by a second.
Super close racing and super tight racing, especially in GT cars around this place. This is typically a track that you'd see run with stock cars, so it doesn't surprise me that a track that's this fast and this downforce encouraging with the high speeds that you see here. I'm not surprised to see the speeds all relatively close. We have 3 races scheduled for this evening, if you're not familiar with SCRS Ferrari Challenge. And the first one, of course, is our AM Cup race, which is just our yellow-colored AM drivers. And then our final 2 races of the night will be both Pro and AM. Again, the Pro drivers signified by the red number boards, and the yellow number boards are the AM drivers. So Liam Sheen right now on screen making his way around. If you'd like to watch live timing and scoring, you can always do that at our website, simtvbroadcasting.com/timing. And you can follow along on the left-hand side of your screen as well with our timing and scoring there. But over 20 drivers here for our M qualifier. And this race is significant because this sort of shows us the drivers that might be knocking on the door of being in the pro category, which typically ends up being the front of our field in the final 2 races of the night. And one of the drivers that impressed me a lot last week was Liam Sheen in his first ever Ferrari Challenge appearance. Here he is tonight, already second on the board, a 109.805.
Yeah, I think the overall performance wasn't exactly what she was looking for last week, but he did show a lot of maturity and skill in getting through those really tight opening laps that we saw last week at Mosport with very little damage, if any. He was very conscious of just getting out there, learning how these guys race, and how these cars act when they're around each other. And this week it seems like he's out here with a little bit more pace, ready to play and ready to go for the top positions.
Yeah, of course, Liam Sheen working his way around as one of many drivers that we have here tonight. Ryan Plord is back in the 74. Murphy Nichols to the top of the charts. How about a 109.443 for the number 55 Alien Force racing car? Well done run in the Smoketown Brewing Station Ferrari GT3 as he climbs the hill, and Murphy is going to get dethroned immediately by Corey Bunch. So you mentioned how close the lap times were, already showing the strength of many different competitors here as we come on through. Liam Sheen goes second place now as he comes across the line for the end of his second lap.
Yeah, Corey Bunch's lap is the fastest lap we've seen here tonight, even throughout practice, as the top time was 109.2. So we'll see if anyone has anything to close that gap. I don't think qualifying is anywhere near done yet for these drivers. There's still a lot of speed out the game.
And you mentioned the bus stop chicane. We just saw Corey Bunch go through it. The reason why I find this is very significant is because of the layout of this racetrack, the speed that you have to carry through there. If you want to be fast, you really have to charge into these corners and aggressively attack the curbing on the right and left-hand side of the racetrack. And if you're not willing to do that, and you're not willing to make passes down there, you're going to be eliminating one of the 2 or 3 maybe passing zones here. Turn 1 is one of them. The entry to the bus stop is one, and then the entrance to turn number 10 is another. And if you're really brave, you can make it happen into the final corner on kind of an over-under maneuver. But that is kind of a high-level skill that takes a few tries to get that right. Corey Bunch comes across the line, will not improve. Christian Ost jumps into second place in the 157 Complex Simworks car. A few more cars left to jump up there on the screen. Sean Foe's out on track right now. He'll come across the line for a first lap. I'm sure his second one will be, actually I think this is his first timed lap. Big slide through turn number 1, though. Couldn't quite get the car stuck to the racetrack.
Yeah, you're so on the edge because there's so much time to lose if you're not at the fullest extent of what the car is capable of and what you're capable of hanging on to. You can really give up a lot of time. This track is so fast that if you miss something, even the slightest bit, you could find yourself a couple tenths off where you need to be. And as I mentioned earlier, with just a second separating the top 17 in practice, a tenth is going to cost you probably a few spots. As we're seeing right now, the times are still very close. Corey Bunch still hanging on to that top position with just over 3.5 minutes left in this session.
A couple other drivers have yet to lay down times. Mick Blue is one of those drivers. He's working his way through the carousel right now in a very reflective number 96. This is a new scheme for him, I believe, as he has recently joined. I believe, is that the Drew Lidke side of things? Nope, a little bit different, I think, as he rolls through turn number 10. Unless they're all running different schemes and I wasn't aware of it, but no, maybe they are. They are running the same team. New liveries for Drew Lidke's team, the Can-Am team. So he sits 13th right now on the timing sheets. Probably not where he'd like to be, but he's got a teammate out on track that is starting a flyer right now.
Yeah, that is Can-Am MB Racing. Assuming the MB stands for Mick Blue, so he and Drew are on that side of the garage, whereas Can-Am Racing with Brian Zabelski and I think I forgot who the other driver was.
I'm blanking as well. I'm sure we'll see that scheme at some point tonight. Mick Blue up over the top of the crest, down the 1,800-foot-long back straightaway here, then into the bus stop. I talked about how crucial of a corner this is, riding on board. And Mick Blue, a little bit too conservative. He's going to run wide here, and that's why you have to really sling the car through there and get it just right, get the bounces just right to make sure that you're carrying as much speed as you can through this portion of the racetrack. So Watkins Glen, again, a racetrack that's been around for quite some time. It hasn't been like this always. Actually, this is a great angle to look down on the racetrack and see what changes have been made here in the recent, more modern years. If you look down underneath us here, you can see that bus stop chicane, or at least half of it. That didn't exist until 1992. On the left hand of this, everything in this box, that didn't exist until 1970. And the old course actually used to basically cut through what is now the paddock area and then make the front straightaway a whole lot shorter. And the old start-finish straight used to be this red line right there. And the old start-finish line used to be right about where Mick Blue is right there. That is essentially where the start-finish line was back in the day. So the track has changed quite a bit, but the character of it has not gone away at all. They call it the super speedway of road courses, Eric, and that's because the average speeds here are well over 130, 140 miles an hour for cars like this.
Absolutely, and I don't know if being in New York, if you've ever driven the layout of the street course that used to be the Watkins Glen Grand Prix circuit. When you drive that, and you always hear the stories about how when they built this track, it was meant to be a fast-paced track to kind of mimic what the old street course was. And I'd say after driving a little bit around what that old layout would have been, they've definitely accomplished that with the very quick turns, 90-degree corners that you could just imagine old cars, old F1 drivers just really braving it through there and speeding around. They definitely have matched that with this circuit, and this is probably one of the most iconic circuits in America.
Definitely one of, if not the most iconic racetrack in America. We're going to have a look at our track map here to give you kind of an idea. If you're, of course, everyone's familiar with this place. We'll look at it again. Turn number 1, this is the corner that used to be down by the gas station in town. Of course, they moved it after an accident in 1953, so this corner still meant to represent that corner down there in the town of Watkins Glen. Then you head slightly downhill before you begin a 110-foot climb from the bottom of turn 2 all the way up to turn 4. That's the top of the S's. Now carry all that speed down to the bus stop, the chicane, the inner loop, I don't care what you call it, it's still important. Right, left, right, then down the hill through the carousel, and instead of shooting straight off downhill into the boot, you're going to continue straight and carry your speed all the way to turn number 6. That's the fast left-hander at the end of the second back straightaway, then kink back to the right for the end of the lap. So that's a lap here at Watkins Glen. Famous racetrack. It's a fast one as well, and we're about to go racing here at SCRS Ferrari Challenge for the 3rd round this season. We'll head down to the racetrack here in just a moment to have a look at our starting lineup. We'll get a look here at the weather information one final time, and of course the pole award. I have to see who actually ended up on pole. Didn't catch it at the very end. I think it was still let's see, was it still Corey Bunch in the 69? I believe it was. But air temp 73, track temp 73, a nice warm morning from Watkins Glen, New York, which I'm sure all these drivers are happy that it's warm because it's not here in real life. So looks like Corey Bunch in the number 69 will be your Redenzo Pole Award winner in that number 69 car. And of course, if you're not familiar with Redenzo, they make basically radar detectors for your car to keep keep yourself ticketless on the expressways. I have one myself. I love it. You can check out their Redenzo XP at their website. So 20 cars strong, 21 cars strong. We'll get ready to go racing. Eric, let's roll through our starting lineup here. On the front row, it's going to be Corey Bunch in the 69 and the 157 of Christian Oss in the complex sim racing car in the 2nd place.
Got Liam Sheen in the 002 on 3rd place, and Murphy Nichols in the number 55, trying to rebound from the first couple weeks in 4th.
In 5th place, Ryan Plord in the 74. Mo Islam returns in 6th in the 206 car.
Nicholas Morelli for Attrition Racing makes up your 7th place car, and Thomas Morris in the number 99 Pinnacle Racing makes up your 8th position.
Justin Johansson starts in 9th in the number 119. Brian Chabelski starts in 10th in the number 12.
Eric Brown follows him in 11th place with Anthony Montello on his outside in 12th.
Drew Lidke starts in 13th in the number 121. Brian Sohn starts to his outside in the 03 in 14th place.
TJ Cooper brings the 584 Ferrari from 15th place as Dominic Dornenberg will, in his number 913, will come from 16th.
Andrew Mickey and Jim Benson round out row number 9, and of course Mick Blue and Steve Bunting back in row number 10, and a couple more drivers rounding out the rest of the field as we climb the hill to the top of the S's. Again, a 110-foot climb from the bottom to the top of this racetrack. And let me tell you, it is quite the climb in real life as well. This is one of the few places. When I went to Road Atlanta, which has a huge drop at the exit of turn number 11 and down into turn 12, that didn't surprise me as much as the S's here at Watkins Glen did. It really is a big climb, and you can actually continue to rise up until the bus stop here at the end of the back straightaway. It's just a very slight incline, so my Toyota Corolla was struggling to get over 95 miles an hour up there, even after 1,800 feet of straightaway. Then the bus stop. This will be the last time they do it under slow speed here before we turn them loose. 15 minutes, about 13 laps worth of racing here, Eric. And, well, I don't know what I'm expecting, but it's going to be probably entertaining.
Yeah, I think just from the times that we've seen, what we can expect is everyone to be close. Hopefully there's no contact and they can keep it clean. But I think what you're going to see is potentially 3 wide going into and through turn 1, where you have all that runoff that I'm sure is going to be used by a few cars. We should note that if you do see a driver run out there, they've been instructed that it's their responsibility to rejoin the track safely, and that the cars on the track proper are not in any way obligated to make room for them. So might see some issues there, but I think for the most part, we're just about a corner away from going green, and it should be a lot of fun.
Round number 3 of SCRS Ferrari Challenge is about to begin. From Watkins, Glen, New York, I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Eric Mickey. The field is 20 cars strong. Race 1 of 3. The AM qualifier is about to go green. There it goes. Green flag in the air. We're racing from Watkins, Glen. The run down to turn number 1. 2 wide, 10 rows deep as they thunder down to the 90. Trouble behind him.
In the back with Jim Bedson.
He's looped it down in turn number 1. He'll continue as we climb up the hill. They're side by side for third place behind him. There's a 55 of Murphy Nichols up the inside. He wants it away from Liam Sheen. They're going to drag race each other down the 1,800-foot straightaway as the front two try to drive away from the rest.
Yeah, here comes for the lead. As he Bunch gives it to him. Christian Oss takes the lead, but gets it wide, goes through the grass. Bunch is going to retake the lead on the exit. Christian's going to have a big slowdown penalty from iRacing to serve there, and going to cost him a lot of time on this opening lap.
Ooh, Mo Islam got a big shove from the driver to his inside. That's Nicholas Morelli, so some contact there pushes Mo Islam out of line. And now the run down to turn number 6. Corey Bunch leads the way. Liam Sheen, Murphy Nichols, the rest of the top 3. Look at this. Islam under attack now from Thomas Morris. He's going the wrong direction.
Yeah, I think we saw this last week too, that Morris had a little bit of struggles losing positions, but we'll see if he can rebound at the end of this race, which is not very long, only 15 minutes in all 3 of our races tonight, so they've got to get a lot done in a short amount of time in this race right here. But Corey Bunch seems to be getting a little bit of a lead ahead of Liam Sheen, heading up through the S's for the second time.
Gotta watch running wide through turn number 1. That's okay to do, however, you cannot force your way back on course. You can run wide, you just can't force your way back on the racetrack. Now Corey Bunch continues the lead in his number 69 car, side by side behind him, and they're strung out now. The challenge becomes passing here. It's going to be a challenge, I think, Eric. There's a lot of straightaway here, but everyone's kind of on the edge of control already. You got to charge this racetrack, so everyone's going so similar pace that it's going to make it a challenge to make up any ground.
Yeah, it's really hard to make a pass on this circuit. Particularly with these cars, there's not a huge amount of braking to be done. The braking zones with these cars are going to be very short, so you really kind of have to work on getting the run on the entry and through the center of a corner to be able to use any draft to get by them. But I think if you can get close out of turn 1, going down the backstretch into the chicane is going to be the best passing opportunity. But it's also one of the most hairiest opportunities that you could probably find yourself in racing for position.
Riding on board, Mo Islam slams the door, actually gets the door slammed on him by Christian Oss as they climb the hill. Not really a great opportunity to stick side by side through there, but look at Oss all over the back of Morelli. Will jump up one spot and have a look from on board the 157. Morelli goes slightly defensive on the run down to the bus stop.
You're going to try to stick it out there. Oss had that issue on the first lap through the bus stop. Is he able to do better? Now Morelli's off. So he's going to potentially have a slowdown to serve.
Well, he will have to serve a little bit of a slowdown. He will drop back. Meanwhile, for third place, here's Ryan Plord and Murphy Nichols side by side. Nichols moves to the right. Thomas Morris is around at the exit of the carousel. Let's quickly see how he got himself in this position. He might have just run wide, and we'll look from high above to see if he maybe had some contact. There's Morelli on the inside. Does he drift wide? No, I think they just kind of came together.
Yeah, there was a little bit of contact there. Could have been down in net code. We might see in a different angle that maybe played a part, but that'll have to be looked at post-race as we're back racing.
That's for second place.
Second position.
Ooh, Murphy Nichols and Ryan Plord got really tight together. Nichols hangs on for now. I think Liam Sheen is up a couple spots. He jumps into second after kind of getting bullied out of it a little while ago as Nichols and Plord run third, fourth, and Christian Oss now hangs back just a little bit in fifth. And I'm watching Murphy Nichols pop out of line now. Here he comes up the inside. He's got it.
You know, last lap, Sheen was right on Bunch's bumper coming into the chicane, so I'm not sure what happened through the carousel last time that Bunch got that lead back, but Here you just see Murphy Nichols go around in second place. This is something he's been talking about all week, having to improve, having to get better.
Trouble behind him. Car going to go in the wall. That's Justin Johansson. He's going to clobber the tire barrier. Griphex Engineering car has found its way into the carousel exit wall. It's never a fun place to go off. Here's a look. Was side by side, comes up the racetrack, hits into Morelli, spins around, and gets hit from, I think that was Eric Brown in the 56. And now Nicholas Morelli has had problems. He's around in the gravel trap in turn number 10. Here's a look at that.
Morelli not having a good couple of weeks. Last week we saw him around a bunch.
More trouble. Murphy Nichols is spun out in turn 1.
Nichols is now spun.
Yeah, he's spun out in turn number 1, and that's a bad place to be stuck because he's not going to be able to get rolling. Here's a look at this. Just gets loose. That's a weird place to have the car spin.
It is, but I think when we go back to what we were talking about at Mosport last week, the back of the car being heavier with the engine and the weight of the engine back there coming around, it is easy to lose the rear end of these cars if you just get in there with just a little bit too much speed, and that seems to be what Nichols did. And Nichols has been talking all week about how he's got to improve. He's just got to slow down a little bit to be faster and more consistent. And I know he's probably kicking himself for having been up in second and now spinning in turn 1 and losing that ground, but he's going to do what he can to come back, and hopefully that'll be the end of his troubles for tonight.
Dominic Dornenberg back here battling with Andrew Mickey for 10th spot, and Murphy Nichols back rolling in 15th place. See him in the background now, feeling pressure from Drew Lidke, who's I thought he had some damage. I think he might have actually escaped some. It looks like there is maybe a little bit of right front damage on that car from somewhere or something. But the battles towards the front have not really gone away. Liam Sheen now having to defend from Christian Ost. You think back a couple seasons, Christian Ost, and I think it was Andrew Mickey that came to the line side by side. So the 157, this is going to be a good week for him. He's got to get by the 002 to get it done, though.
He pulled out to the left, but he had draft help from the car ahead. Not able to pull it off there. Very smart to back out. Not a good move to try to make, and not the time to try to make it with over 8 minutes left in this race. Corey Bunch is just kind of driven away from the field because of all the racing that's happening for second on back.
Oh, trouble, Andrew Mickey.
Contact, that one definitely looked like some net code involved there, which is unfortunate.
Just a bit of ping pong, that's all they're playing back there. Andrew Mickey will get it straightened out. Good job hanging on to the car. Now we'll go on offense on Dornenberg down the back straightaway here. Mick Blue in the 96 has jumped up to 10th from 19th, so he's got a nice big +9 next to his name so far today.
Yeah, and this is one of Andrew's favorite tracks to come out and race at, so I know he's not too happy with the contact and losing space for that, and losing positions based on that. But his night's not over. He's going to have a lot of opportunity to show what he's got, and we'll look forward to that. Who's in second now? Plord?
Plord
Where did Plord come from?
Plord has worked his way into second. He qualified pretty well, 5th place for him. As look at Christian Ost and a block from Liam Sheen down the back straightaway into the bus stop now. And Ost, I think the patience is going to run out because I feel like he thinks he could go up there and run down Corey Bunch, but 3.5 seconds is too much at this point. I think the best he's going to do is get to second.
Yeah, this race is for second place right now. Corey has the advantage of just being able to probably even slow down a little bit just to make sure he hits his marks and makes no mistakes. And it looks like he's probably going to be in position to go on and take this win. The race is going to be for second place here between Plord, Sheen, Ost, Islam, and I believe Cooper is involved there. He might be a little bit too far back.
Through turn number 7 and back out onto the front straightaway. Ost pops over to the right. Now Duck's back in line for a momentary slipstream, and he'll have a run here into turn number 1 as they come down the hill into the 90 on the brakes just for a moment, but Sheen chucks the car down. And Liam's been here a bunch in stock cars lately, and I always think that driving more difficult to drive race cars is a good thing for experience at road courses, and Liam's got a lot of stock car experience here, and that's going to help him kind of know how deep he can go into the corners. I think he's got that figured out. Look at O's jumping the curbs and the S's, trying to get that 3rd spot away.
Yeah, and I think that pass probably would have been completed under stock if they were driving stock cars, but these cars just having not as large of a braking zone as a stock car would is what kept that pass from being something that can happen. You have to be pretty much beside them at least halfway to really have a shot at completing that pass down into turn 1 to be able to do it cleanly. And Osh just didn't have that, but he looks like he's not going to be giving up anytime soon.
Islam in the 206 car has caught this group of 3. Big slide for Ost. Can he hang on to it? Off into the gravel, he'll pull the car back on. Islam up to 4th. Christian Ost back to 5th. And the rest of the field is strung out just a little bit, but Corey Bunch continues to impress me. As we look down the list, as Andrew Mickey's got more issues. Whoa, there's a lot of cars around. Murphy Nichols has also looped it again. Not a good race for him today. He's had a string of bad luck this year
I know
in general.
He's kicking himself for it. Just gets a little bit on. Not sure what happened to Andrew back there. I thought they would have been connected, but they definitely weren't.
No, same thing. I think they just charged the corner a little bit too hot. Easy to do. Turn 10 is, or I should say turn 6 in this configuration, is very easy to turn in later to misjudge. And just 2 cars doing the same exact mistake as we go back to 2nd place because Liam Sheen is caught floored. Both of them have a tank slapper through the bus stop, and now Islam wants on through. He can't quite get the nose in there for a podium spot just yet, though.
Not really struggling to make that pass happen, but you see, none of these cars seem very comfortable. They all seem like they are completely on edge, just trying to get the most out of it and keep going. Because if you take any rest, if you're Ryan Ford right now and you decide to take it easy for a lap, you're going to have 3 cars on your bumper trying to get by you. And Ost goes around in the back, out of turn 6. By himself.
Woo. TJ Cooper just squeezing by. This is a bad spot to be stopped. Right in the racing line on the entry to turn number 11. Car behind him, Darren Heath. That's Darren Heath off the background as Ost gets rolling again in the middle of traffic. That was wild. I think we're good. I think we made it.
I think we're okay. I think everybody's going to be fine. But there's a lot of action packed into this 15 minutes right now, and I think it's going to be just more of the same later on when you get these cars on the grid with all the pro field as well.
Oh, contact out at turn number 1. Ost and Foes kind of leaning into each other just a bit. And Andrew Mickey and Murphy Nichols, after having a synchronized spin, they found each other once again. They will continue their battle in 17th place. Corey Bunch leads by 3.7 seconds. Look at this climb up the hill, though. Going to get racy off into the bus stop, I think.
He's got the run on him. This is, I think, they've had some run-ins in the past, the 2 of these, so I'm not sure. So if I know Andrew, he's not going to just give this to him.
Well, he had to, I think, at that point. Murphy chucked it down the inside, or the outside, I should say. Behind a big slide by Morelli. He'll get caught off on the grass and get back rolling, but Nichols has just worked his way by Andrew Mickey with an extremely aggressive outside move into the bus stop. That is a trick that he can put up his sleeve for the Pro-Am races later tonight. If you can make that move, you can make any move around here. That's tough to do, and tough to do successfully, and also requires a little bit of cooperation from the driver next to you, because if they don't want to let you have it, they can just basically take everybody out. Meanwhile, battle for second continues. Plord, Sheen, Islam down the back straightaway at the Glen.
Yeah, they're all over each other, and Islam's just waiting to find out which one of these 2 cars win this battle so he can potentially follow them through.
I'm not sure if anybody's really going to win it for now. They all seem like they've been kind of at a draw so far. Islam's a little bit faster than Sheen at the moment. You see Sheen kind of playing defense just a touch.
Plord's trying to get them and wants them. I wonder if Sheen must have had a slowdown.
He will let Islam by. I think that was just, I think he realized that Islam's a little bit faster and he might as well go up there and try to run down Plord. Maybe some cooperation there. 2 minutes to go. Next time by will be 1 lap to go. So Corey Bunch works his way through turn number 1, and he has been absolutely flawless so far. And this is a good start to the night. If he can repeat this or get close to it as Liam Sheen hits pit lane, that's weird.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened with him.
Drive-through.
Looks like he's serving a drive-through, but did he really get that many incidents?
Maybe. I mean, it's really easy to get them in the bus stop. If we go back to...
It's possible. He's showing on iRacing that he has 10 incidents.
Okay. You see the bus stop corner here, the one I'm talking about right here. You see where this grass is? That will give you a 1X, even though that's really racing line if you're aggressive through there. So that's an easy place to get it. You see Eric Brown jump through there with, I think he's got Anthony Montello behind him. This has been a fairly good run for the Lazy Rocket Final Produce car, 12th to 6th.
Yeah, very impressive as he's been in a lot of the carnage over the last couple of weeks, but here he seems to have had a clean race. Looking for potentially a top 5 here, which will be a big accomplishment for him. Eric Brown trying to hang on to that top 5 position as Corey Bunch takes the white flag to start his last lap.
He has been absolutely flawless. McBlue, he's gone around. I think, exiting turn number 10, or he's slow, so Dominic Dornenberg gets by. That'll put him in 9th after starting, and actually make that 8th after starting 16th. And Thomas Morris looks like he has traded spots with a couple drivers back here. So with all that said and done, we've had an action-packed first race. But once people got spread out, it seemed like the challenge was all about how aggressive are you willing to get. You can get the passes done, you just got to be a psychopath to do it, and we've seen some drivers be able to get it done, but it requires being a little bit mean to your competitors and bully them around a little bit. If you're shy today, you're not going to win these races.
Yeah, absolutely not. You need to go for it. You need to go hard. This track requires you to race hard and race as to the edge as you can without going over it. As Corey Bunch comes around the final corner to take. Did he win a race last week?
I don't remember. I feel like he did, but Corey Bunch will come on through. Regardless, he will win here at Watkins Glen. Race 1 goes to Corey Bunch in the 69. Ryan Plord, good run for him. Second, and Mo Islam in the 206. How about a climb from 6th to 3rd? He'll take podium here in the first race of the evening. TJ Cooper, got to be thrilled with that. 4th place in the AM race. And Eric Brown, a top 5 result with Anthony Montello. He wants it at the line. Can't quite get there. Oh, I think Christian Ost put himself to the wall trying to get to Brian Sohn. Not going to get there. Ost will finish 13th. And Murphy Nichols had the pace early, but it's just mistakes for him. If he can just clean those things up, he'd be a contender at the top of the order. But I think he's got to be frustrated with his own performance.
Yeah, he's been most outspoken on our league Discord and with me personally about just needing to be a little bit better, be a little bit smarter, and a little bit more clean throughout the night to be able to finish off the race with the pace that he has. He's shown he's got decent pace, but he's just got to work on everything else to become the whole package. But I think he's got it in him. And you see Corey Bunch on his cool-down lap from taking his first SCRS win. Luckily for him, he didn't actually get the EOL for his bad dad jokes on Facebook. But you know what? That might become a penalty he might have to serve or he gets moved up to pro if he has another few races as dominant as that.
There's your top 10 here. Liam Sheen actually stays in the top 10 even with the drive-through, so I'm sure he'll be disappointed in that result. But honestly, a top 10 and having hit pit lane, that's a pretty good day in my eyes. Drew Lidke, Brian Sohn, Christian Ost, Jim Bedson, Darren Heath, the rest of your top 15. A lot of incidents over in turn 10, which we knew was going to be an issue. That's a fast corner that you carry a lot of speed into. But we head into our Pro-Am races. What did we learn before we head off to those?
I think we learned that it's going to be really difficult to make passes. It's going to be really difficult to avoid mistakes. A lot of cars just got themselves in their own trouble, just driving a little bit too hard, a little over that edge, particularly in turn 6. And I think we're probably going to see more of that later in tonight in these next 2 races. It's just going to be drivers going as hard as they can, and a lot of them are probably going to overstep and get themselves in trouble. So I think if anyone's paying attention to this race, that's something that they've got to correct in order to have a good race in either Pro-Am 1 or 2.
We're going to step away. We'll be back with you for the Pro-Am races 1 and 2 here in just a few minutes. From Watkins Glen, New York, you're watching Sim TV. Stick with us for a few.
If there's one place that defines American motorsport, it's here. The sandy beaches a few miles away held races for decades. It's where NASCAR was born. They need a place to race, a super speedway so fast and so huge that the cars could run flat out all the way around. So they built it. 1 million square yards of earth was moved to create the banking. The void left behind became Lake Lloyd. And 2.5 miles of asphalt created more than just one of the most beautiful racetracks in the world. It built the foundation of NASCAR. In the decades that followed, Daytona became hallowed ground. The trophies here mean more than any other. Win the 500, put your name on the Harley J. Earl Trophy. Win the 24 hours and strap a Rolex on your wrist. The banks are not always kind. They're not always fair. And while Daytona wins bring a statistical highlight to any career, it's the losses that make it seem pointless. But for every untimely ending, there is a triumphant healing. For every emotional victory, a mind-numbing realization.
Tom O'Gorman fighting for every inch that he can possibly get. Won the last T-SCO race of last year, Road Atlantic, starting things off in exactly the right style. It is victory for Tom O'Gorman and the LA Commonwealth team.
I won at Daytona. I earned a trophy at the World Center of Racing. The checkered flag waved for me. For me, it was not the end of a career. While it may be a highlight, it is only the beginning. It's just the best day ever.
Back at Watkins Glen International for SCRS Ferrari Challenge, round number 3 of the fall 2020 season. You're watching Sim TV. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined by Eric Mickey this evening. We are just about to begin our Pro-Am races. We have 2 of them, 2 15-minute events, and they all begin in just 9 minutes after qualifying. Well, we have our biggest field, unconfirmed biggest field, but what I think is our biggest field ever, Eric. We've got 38 cars qualifying for this. This is an enormous field of GT3 racing machines. I'm a little bit nervous, I'm not going to lie. That's a lot of cars to put on a racetrack that's this small. I mean, NASCAR does it, but it's a glorious disaster, and I'm just hoping that this is a glorious success at the end of the 15 minutes tonight.
You're nervous. I'm responsible for this.
That's true. I guess I just get to talk about it. You have to deal with the outcome of it afterwards.
Yeah, this is, I mean, obviously it's all nothing but good that we're, typically most leagues will tell you after the first week you see a decline, after the second week you see a little bit more of a decline, and then you get to weeks 3 and 4, and then that's where you kind of settle into a much lower number than those who show out for the first couple. But right now we duplicated 32 drivers the first week, 2 weeks. Now we're at 38, and I'm fairly confident that this is the largest grid we've ever had for a SCRS race. By about 5 or 6 drivers, and it's exciting. It's great that so many people want to be here and take part in this. It's a little bit intimidating from the ownership of the league standpoint and admin standpoint, but I mean, the more people that want to come out, the better as far as I'm concerned, and I'm super excited that we have this many people joining us tonight. I just hope that that's not a sign of carnage to come later, and I hope we have good racing and everyone enjoys themselves out there tonight on the track, because I know we enjoyed that Am Cup race we just covered, and we're going to enjoy the 2 of these that we're about to see go down. 15 minutes of fury times 2 is basically what I'm looking at tonight.
Reminder that in your left-hand side, that is the timing and scoring. The red is Pro, the yellow is Am. There is, of course, an overall championship as well as a Pro and Am champion at the end of the season. Looking down the 38-car grid, if you'd like to look at this yourself, you can, of course, visit our live timing at our website. There is a, if you go there /timing, that is our timing screen. You can watch in real time. So as this is underway, a couple of the drivers I'm watching tonight is one of them that got their first win last week is Mitchell Welker. He's out here in the number 77 Lightspeed Ferrari. He won the second Pro-Am race. He felt last week that it wasn't really a real victory because he started up front and all the chaos behind him let him drive away at a racetrack that he's very proficient at. I don't care. I don't care what he says. I think it was still very much a race win, and it certainly counts. It's in the wins column, and that's all that matters at the end of the day, but I think he'd like to win one hard fought, and he's going to get his chance today. There's a lot of strong drivers in this field.
Yeah, I think I understand where he's coming from because he had a poor finish for his standards in race 1, but our invert is what allowed him to start on the front row last week. He was able to take the lead from pretty much the very first corner of race 2, and because of the invert and the slower drivers, a lot of them being AM classified drivers behind him, and all the carnage, he was able to run away with it. And we've seen that here and there. You'll get that once in a while with this format, but if I'm him, I'm taking the wins I can get as they come. Every driver here, I mean, even James Walker will tell you he's probably gotten lucky on a couple of his wins. As far as I think even last week when he made contact with Buchanan, he would say that, you know, maybe that's one he shouldn't have gotten, but he did, and that you just got to take the points that come with him, and run towards that championship as far as I'm concerned.
So when we look at our ticker, usually at the end of the races, we have a fairly distinct gap between the pro drivers and the AM drivers. We didn't see that quite so much at Mosport last week, and I think we're going to see something similar this week. I think we'll see a bit more mixing of the Pro and Am categories. You know, IMSA or something where you've got different categories of vehicle. They're all the same car. It's just different. They're basically lumped in by their pace. So again, the faster drivers will get lumped into Pro, and the slower drivers will get lumped into Am. But I don't think that really matters a whole lot at a track like Watkins Glen. And Zach Buchanan in the 40, who really should have gotten a win last week at Mosport. I think he's really hungry, and he'd love to put himself in victory lane today. Currently third as Liam Sheen tops the charts, 109.152.
Yeah, that's just about as quick as Corey Bunch was to sit on the pole for the AM Cup feature. And the track should be slowing down right now. Time's passed a little bit. The track's a little bit warmer. So track should be slowing down, but he was able to go out there and put a 109.1 on the board. And I think over the last couple of minutes, we've only got 4 minutes left, so I'm a little bit surprised we haven't seen the changeover now. But there are a lot of pro drivers who haven't put in a lap yet. I'm expecting the top 10 to start populating with a lot of red number boards. But right now, we've got an AM driver of Lee Machine on the top of the board, followed by Isaac Snyder and Zachary Buchanan, and then your AM Cup feature winner, Corey Bunch, behind them. Yeah, I expect that we'll see a bunch of the red number boards pop up there, but there's not a lot of time for them to get it done.
Colin Daner working through turn number 6 and into 7. He will come on out and lay down a lap time. We'll see if it'll put him inside the top 10. Daner's always a threat. Again, the consistency has been an issue. Thanks, NVIDIA. I'd like to know that I have a driver available for download. As we have 3.5 minutes here left in qualifying. Mitch Welker jumps to third and puts his teammate down one spot. No time recorded for Daner. Looked to be an outlap, so he will have to go again. Only 4 drivers have not yet laid down times, one of them being James Walker in the 97, who had that famous door-to-door battle at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park last week. And I think Buchanan, while he thought that was fair, he's ready to go back out there and get revenge on that 97 fairly in return. And Walker might have to start from the tail if he doesn't get out there shortly.
Yeah, I don't see Walker even on track right now, so I'm not sure what's going on with him. But he hasn't even started a lap. Sean Foes, Darren Heath, and Colin Daner are the other drivers who have not put up a time yet. But right now we're seeing you got to go back to, let's see, 30th place to find the first car who is more than a second behind the top pole position right now. So these times are very close.
And Fernando Matos new this week. He's actually from Brazil and now lives in Georgia. And Fernando's first event this time around, and kind of being classified as a pro out of the gate, and see where he falls in. 32nd right now, 1:10.203, the best time. And that's crazy to me because, as you mentioned, he's the first driver farther back than a second from the leader. He is 32nd place. We have 19 drivers within a half a second, so it's just amazing how close it is at the top of the board. And Unfortunately, Colin Daner only ran 28th quick last time, so I'm hoping for him, for his sake, that he can get a better lap in here before qualifying runs out. So it looks like James Walker, if he even gets on track, he will have to start from the tail of the field. 38th place will be where the last place driver starts tonight, so that'll be a big hole to dig out of if he even jumps on the racetrack.
I find it odd that he would be making the strategy play of starting in the back and working his way up to 18th so that he can almost kind of guarantee himself a win in race 2. I don't think that that's a game that a guy like James Walker would play. I'm wondering if he's having some kind of software or hardware issues that he hasn't made known publicly, but we are seeing that the top 10 are now heavily populated by pro drivers, but the important number up there right now is Liam Sheen is still on pole. So this is going to be, he's got less than a minute to hang on to this, and it's going to be a big victory for him if he can hang on to this pole position. But when you've got all those pro drivers start lining up behind you, it's also going to be very hairy for him to be able to hold on to that position as they head into turn 1 and up through the S's for the first time.
There is Sean Foes, who does not yet have a valid time in. I'm not sure that he'll get a time in before the end of the session. Colin Daner, I don't think will get another lap either. He's pretty close to not making it. I think he came across the line with about 1:09 left, and if you don't get there within about 3 seconds of the session ending, again, well, actually, looks like internet issues there. That might actually invalidate his lap, depending on how big of a gap that was for him. Here's Sean Foes, 11 seconds. He might make it back to the line here, but it's going to be close. Across the line now for Sean Foes. 2 seconds left in the session, and the looks like a 1:11.337 not going to be good enough to go to the top of the board. Liam Sheen will be your Redenzo Pole Award winner for our first Pro-Am race here of the evening. I'm going to do a quick restart of the timing and scoring before we go racing and before we bring you our starting lineup. But this has been a really close event so far. Again, we have so many cars, our biggest field in SCRS Ferrari Challenge history. So lap 1, turn 1, if you're not leading or you're not in that top 5, what's the survival goal? I mean, how do you attack a racetrack like this with so many other drivers around you?
I don't know. I mean, there's just not going to be a lot of room. There's not a lot of braking to be done to really create separation. I think for the most part, it's just going to be taking every second as it comes, looking for the clean track, and hoping that the drivers ahead of you don't make mistakes that you can't avoid. This is a very different front of the grid than we're used to seeing, as I am having confirmation that James Walker does not look like he's even going to be participating tonight. So that's going to be an opportunity for the rest of this field out here.
That's a shame for him, for his sake. I'm going to skip the rows. I think we're just going to show you the live timing here on the left. That is going to be your starting lineup on the left-hand side of the screen. So find your friends and pick them. Again, our live timing is available on our website. You can visit there if you'd like that. You can follow along with lap times and that sort of thing for the entire evening. Again, 37 cars deep. Make it 36 if Anthony Montello doesn't show. Oh boy, look at that field in frame. That is a sizable amount of Ferrari GT3 machines.
It really is. It's a little bit intimidating, but I mean, again, it's great to see, and hopefully we have one of our best nights of racing to go along with one of our biggest grids ever.
All right, I think I'm going to run the auto grid on the bottom of the screen. We'll just let that scroll on through as we begin our warm-up lap here. Our weather information, similar weather to before. And again, the sun has come up a little bit higher, so maybe watch out for the track being a bit slick. Get those tire temps in, Eric. You do not want to have an issue like Murphy Nichols did down in turn number 1. You especially do not want to have an issue turn 1, lap 1. Particularly if you're at the front of this field, because if you loop it in front and you have to sit on the sidelines and wait for everyone to pass you, there's no coming back from that. That'll be day over, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, a mistake here with this many cars, you know, probably more than half these cars, if I'm even doing math semi-right, are going to be getting just 1 point, as points only go down to 18th place before everyone starts to get 1. You have a mistake, it's going to be very difficult to rebound for anything worth any amount of points. So it's more important than ever in such a giant field of cars right now that you have the cleanest race you can. So once again, I mean, what is the bus stop going to look like on turn 1 with 40 cars heading at it?
It's going to be fun to look at, I think. Sean Unterkoffler got a brand new livery on the car this week. That looks really good in the Project 2 camp as we head into the bus stop. This will be a very crowded bus stop about a lap from now. And I'm going to make a bet that we see at least 3 cars having off down there, probably towards the tail of the field as all the congestion happens. Lap 1, if you're in the back and you head into that bus stop, you better be braking early because no one's going to be charging braking zones down there on lap number 1. You have to give and you have to take at the right times here to avoid bad issues. So as we head up onto the back straightaway, this racetrack is as narrow as 31 feet wide at its narrowest point. Goes up to 48 feet wide at its widest point. Let me tell you, it's going to feel about 3 feet wide at times, especially heading up between the Armco through the S's. It is one of the most constricting areas of racetrack in North America, especially at the speed and visibility that you have in that section. 37 drivers in SCRS Ferrari Challenge, a fixed racing series here on Sim TV, and it's time to race them for 15 minutes. We'll have 2 of these events. The first one begins now. Liam Sheen, the Rodenzo Pole Award winner on driver's right, waiting for the green flag to fly. There it is. Green flag is in the air. We're racing from Watkins Glen.
A little bit of a checkup and accordion effect on the start. Thankfully, it didn't get too bad and everything's good so far. Can they get through turn 1 good? There's a lot of tire smoke from locking up brakes, but
car around in the back. It's Brian Sohn. He's gone around for a loop. He'll get continuing. No worries there. No issues. No damage. He'll roll as Liam Sheen leads the field up the hill. Now we've got trouble, and this time it's going to be in the S's. A huge stack up here towards the tail of the field. That's a 10-car wreck. Cars upside down, tumbling over, and that is the worst thing that you can imagine happening at a track like this. Multi-car stack up, and the track is a junkyard. Wow.
I don't really have much to say looking at this.
I mean, that's what Watkins Glen can be. There's more trouble up the road. I think Nicholas Morelli has had an off in the bus stop, but that is a good third of our field torn up in the S's. That's just a lack of give and take here early, Eric, and that is something that they should not be repeating in the second race. But I feel bad for the people in the middle of that. It's hard to miss it once it starts happening.
Yeah, there's so many drivers that were involved in that had no reason to get involved, and that was just a matter of a couple drivers arguing for same space is what I would guess that incident was.
Leader out wide. Here comes Isaac Snyder for the race lead. He is a New Yorker as well. Goes through to the lead, and here's Mitchell Welker in the 77. He started in third quietly as his teammate behind him. It's a Project 2, 3, and 4 now as they run side by side up the hill. And it's Snyder, Welker, Buchanan, Sheen, and Volandia, your top 5 now.
Been a little bit of a shakeup with the Project 2 teams as they split into 2 separate teams with 2 drivers on each. See if I can get that info as far as who's with who, but right now you got 3 of them in the top 5. It looks like that you're looking to have a good dominant performance for Project 2 as a whole here in this first race. But Isaac Snyder, newly joined Bombshell Racing Team for this week, is out front trying to get away from the rest, but he's going to have 2 very fast, hungry drivers on his bumper going through here. But looks like everyone's kind of settled down into single file for everyone who made it through the carnage in the S's.
Liam Sheen, your pole sitter, big slide in turn number 1, just didn't have the heat in the front tires, so he just dragged them across the pavement, couldn't get the car rotated. Snyder goes on defense down the front straight, trying to break the draft there. In the background, you see a car diving on the brakes. That's Bryce Calusa. No, that's actually Carter Gundinger in the 0-2 on Jake Johansson, unable to get alongside. We talked earlier about how short the braking zones are at this racetrack with this car, the anti-lock brakes and the strength of the brakes. You just dab them for about a second or 2, and you're down to the speed you need to be at. This is not the NASCAR style braking where you've got 100, 200, 300 feet to make a pass. You got to get it done quickly.
Yeah, you have to make either a very strong move to make it work or have a large overlap on the car ahead in order to make one of these passes work at this track, particularly with this layout.
Snyder leads by 0.3 of a second. Welker is going to keep him honest, though. Snyder, again, from upstate New York, so this is a home track for him. Mitchell Welker dominated the second Pro-Am race last week at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. The one that dominated the first Pro-Am race was Zach Buchanan. He got roughed up out of the way by James Walker. Coming to the white flag, ended up finishing down the order just a little bit, and I'm sure that he's feeling very hungry to get a win.
Yeah, I think if you're Liam Sheen back there in 4th place, you're just kind of following Welker and Buchanan and probably just taking notes of what they're doing with their car, knowing that they're 2 of the faster drivers out here in the pro category, so that he can keep with them using the draft and then maybe potentially learn a couple things so he can come back at them and really fight for this win with those two and Isaac Snyder up at front.
Side by side.
Through the S's.
That's Jake Johansson getting passed by Volandia. Bryce Calusa watches from behind. He's hungry. He's getting some practice for the Outsider Racing League race at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta in a week. They'll be there with the stock cars as up front. Welker challenged for the race lead, was not able to get there. As we go back to Kirk Crum, there's a car cutting the bus stop. That's Murphy Nichols. He was not able to make it. Once you cut that, you have to give up a whole bunch of time. So his bad luck will continue here down in 15th place.
Yeah, and that penalty is based off of average lap times that's running as he hits the grass a little bit on the exit there. Thankfully, you didn't lose it. But that time is based on an average time of your laps. So the earlier in the race that you have an off that requires a slowdown, the worse and more time you're going to have to give up. So that was really unfortunate.
Into turn number 1 now. Snyder still leads by 0.3 of a second. Welker and Buchanan teamed up in second and third, but you have to wonder, does that really help you at all here? I mean, this is almost like NASCAR plate racing, sports car style, but maybe it just helps Welker that Buchanan can play rear gunner to keep the pole sitter from getting back to him.
Yeah, I think that's part of it, but the other part of it is that if Welker ends up making a move, it's possible that he's going to be able to open the door for, looks like Morris is coming in potentially to get a quick repair and get himself back out there, as all these drivers do have an opportunity to get a free fast repair to get their cars back out on track. But if Welker is to make an attempt on Snyder here, then Buchanan might be able to follow through if he's close enough. So I think that's the goal right now. Gotta say, Snyder's impressing me a little bit that he's been as strong as he has, and he hasn't had Welker too much closer to him than he is right now. But he's got a lap car ahead of him, so we'll see how this plays into things.
Anthony Montello had looped it in turn number 10. And we've seen a bunch of cars go off in that area again without the extra pavement that's been added there. It was added in 2010. And with that addition, it made the track a whole lot easier to run wide and not have any consequences. Liam Sheen has Carter Kundinger go the long way around. Volandia takes a look. He can't complete that pass, so he will stay 6th. And ignore the timing for now. I think the relatively faster pace has relinquished us back to the laps, which 20 is, I believe, 20 to go is the max we can do. But again, we have 8 minutes to go as we head down the back straightaway. Isaac Snyder now 0.7 up the road from Buchanan as he's traded spots with his teammate with a lap car in between. And the leader goes off. He's off the racetrack at the bus stop. He's going to have to give up time, and Buchanan and Welker should go by and take the lead away.
He opened up such a big lead, and he gave it all the way by getting through the bus stop wrong and going off track.
Well, he hasn't given up all the time yet. I wonder if he was able to serve that in the carousel with the lap car in the way, and you see Buchanan feeling very frustrated. That's the 28th place car, TJ Cooper. Oh, Mitch Welker just got driven into in turn number 7. And I'm sure that will be not favorably looked upon here. Yeah, that was a lap car being in the way, in my opinion. But
yeah, I believe Cooper's been involved in some of that discussion about lap cars in the past, and going to take a few more replays at it to really understand what happened there. But definitely something that will be looked at, and I'm sure Welker's not going to be happy about it at all, as it now cost him a ton of positions.
Yeah, that was certainly the race for him, I think. Fernando Matos, he's gone around in turn number 10, damage to his car. Fairly severe front-end damage. We go back to the lead. Buchanan now is feeling the red mist here as he's got the 333 out front.
Yeah, I mean, this is bad for Project 2 as a whole because one of their cars was hurt pretty badly, but Buchanan's got to be like, well, I'm one of the guys to beat, and all I've got ahead of me is Isaac Snyder, and then I get a race win if I can get by him. So I think he's, as much as he's probably upset that his teammate got taken out there, he's also is going to be the beneficiary of it.
Oh, trouble, Chris Hudson.
A Can-Am car in the wall, that's Chris Hudson. He's on Can-Am proper, teammate to Brian Zabelski.
Caught in the grass again. That's been a popular spot to have an issue today. Which Welker and Corey Bunch, they're side by side through one.
That Andrew Mickey behind him there, or that Kurt Crum?
It's Kurt Crum. He started this race in 11, so his progress has been small. Look at the gaggle in front of them as they come over the crest. Liam Sheen, Jake Johansson, Bryce Calusa. Is that still TJ Cooper buried in there, or that's Johansson, I think? Oh, that is Cooper.
I believe that is Cooper in there.
It is Cooper. in the AMP car. And still right in the middle of it. Yeah, that I think that was a message sent there. Liam Sheen has also found his way off track. Pole sitter's out. And here's a look from, he just went off on his own, but I think the 584 got a push as well.
Yeah, that'll take a replay to really see what happened with the 584. But I mean, that is difficult. Like, the rule is that you're basically supposed to hold your line, and the faster cars will find their way around you. But and you got to feel a little bit for him with that situation, because there's not much he can do besides coming to basically a complete stop down the backstretch, because the line of cars coming by were so fast and so long. But just a bad situation all around there. Kurt Crum gets the move done on Corey Bunch down in turn 1. Welker's side by side with Valandia. They almost go 3 wide with Steve Bunting slowing through the S's.
Oh, they're going to get really wild up here at the crest, all the way to the fence. It's Mo Islam in the 206 that had to chase the car all the way to the Blue Armco. Up the road, you see Bryce Calusa and Jake Johansson side by side into the bus stop, give the spot to the 5. And more side by side. Hunter Kuffler and Islam having a bit of side by side rubbing, and Hunter Kuffler's through to 9th. I think that 10th place for now. 4 minutes and 43 seconds to go here. Approximately 4 laps left at the line, and Buchanan is here and ready to party for the top spot, and had the most laps led at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park last week, and is feeling pressure maybe to win a race this time around. Defensive driving by the 333 to try to break that draft. 4.5 minutes to go.
Should clarify that as your ticker does say 16 laps to go, there are only 4 minutes, just over 4 minutes remaining in this race, so that is not accurate as far as laps remaining. They've got to get this done quick, and now Buchanan all over the back of Snyder coming up through the S's. This is going to be his opportunity to potentially make a pass for the lead. Is he going to be able to pull it off going into or before the S's? He's going to have to go on the outside and be on not the line you want to be on, and he dives low.
Oh, he's in the grass. That was insane. Buchanan with the right side's in the grass. He's going to back out, try again. Big moment through the bus stop. Carter Kundinger is appearing as a challenger now. Behind that, look at Valandia side by side with Crum. They're 2 by 2.
2 wide.
Wow.
Side by side, 2 rows deep through the bus stop. Everyone gets through it okay.
That was a pretty wild moment. I think we've escaped it for now, but watch out for Kundinger, because he's been sailing, and Buchanan's been pretty nice so far, but he's got pressure from behind now that's going to increase the intensity out the windshield. This time by will be 3 laps to go, 3 minutes left at Watkins Glen.
Snyder bought himself some times there, and now he is Carter Kundinger's #1 fan. As if they start racing for second behind him, is going to just wrap up this race in Snyder's favor. I think Snyder did learn, though, how far Buchanan's willing to push it in order to make that pass for the lead, so he's going to have to be even more defensive next time if Buchanan's able to get back to him.
Yeah, 0.6 of a second between the race leader and the second place car now. Next time by will be 2 laps to go, on board with Corey Bunch, who started 9th. His progress 0 right now, but he's got a couple drivers up the road that he can get to with a big dive on the brakes into the bus stop.
Too far back to make anything happen this lap. That's Mitchell Welker up ahead of him.
Looking behind, Eric Brown having a swipe, but Islam isn't able to get around him as Crum and Valandia run 6th and 7th. The battle for the lead has fizzled, and coming to 2 laps to go this time, you have to wonder if Buchanan's got the juice left in the tank to go get that 333.
I think he has it. I don't know if necessarily the car has it. Snyder has not really put things wrong, and I think that's been one of his biggest issues as far as competition here. Is he's shown the speed to be pro. That's why he got moved up last season. He has the speed, but he generally isn't able to put a race together to take full benefit of that speed. But tonight he's on it. He's hitting the marks he's got to hit. He's run probably the best race I've seen him run since joining SCRS, and it might be on his way to a win. Not his first win. He did get a win last season in the inversion race, but I think a race 1 Pro-Am win is going to be big for anyone in this field as their first win.
Really good run to the bus stop.
Yeah,
that was a really good run to the bus stop for Buchanan. Not such a good run for Isaac Snyder. That halved the gap. Is now only 0.3 of a second. and that's within drafting range where he'll be able to suck right back up to that rear wing of the 333. Coming to the white flag in SCRS Ferrari Challenge, round 3 in Pro-Am race number 1. Buchanan's a little quicker, dab on the brakes. You saw Snyder slide through turn 6, now to turn 7, white flag waving for Isaac Snyder.
White flag is out, Buchanan's there, Kundinger's there. This could be a crazy final lap as Snyder has to defend from Buchanan, potentially from Carter Kundinger. Buchanan's run off of this corner is going to be super important to his hopes of taking home the win.
He's a bit conservative on entry, hoping to carry the speed on exit, but I think charging the corner is going to be more beneficial to you than trying to apex it correctly, just the way that track is laid out there. And now look at the run he's going to build here. He's got a ton of speed, and it's all going to come down to how fast he can take this. How aggressive will he be in the bus stop here? Now chuck it right, left, and right through the bus stop for the final time. Buchanan within 2 car lengths of the race leader.
Buchanan with a good run out of the bus stop, good run into the carousel, but is Snyder going to be able to get the run? Looks like they're going to be fairly equal coming out of there. Is Buchanan going to have a big enough run to be able to make a dive bomb on his inside? As they got a lap car of, I believe that's Brian Sohn up ahead.
Yes, it is Brian Sohn. Checkered flag going to be waving. Final corner, Snyder's in the grass. Buchanan on the bumper now as they come to the final corner. Last turn, get the power down. Checkered flag waves, Buchanan's got to run. Here they come to the line, side by side. Buchanan, not quite. Snyder, Buchanan, Kundinger, 1, 2, 3.
That was an amazing last lap between the 3 of them. Coming across the line, Valandia 6th, Kurt Crum 7th, Mitchell Welker 8th, Corey Bunch, top finishing M driver in this race. Sean Unterkuffler, and rounds out your top 10 with Mo Islam 11th.
Wow, what a race. Montello goes around in the final couple corners. He'll just pull the car in. He's a lap down already. What a race we saw there. That big drama on the opening lap. We're going to, again, with how this is set up as a heat format, we will not be able to go back and look at it just yet. We'll have to look at it at the end of the night. But we go back and we will show you a replay at the end of the evening. But aggressive racing up front, but the lap cars kind of interfering up there up at the front. I think Mitch Welker is going to be a man on a mission here to try to see if he can carve through some of the AM traffic here in the second race of the night and try to get a win. So Nicholas Morelli will be sitting on pole in 18th place. In this race, he will jump to the front. Snyder will start P18, Buchanan P17, and so on and so forth. I'm going to make a change to the graphics real quick just to make sure that we've got the correct timing situation. We've got a 5-minute warm-up here, so I'm going to take that now to make those changes. But let's talk about this. Well, we've got 5 minutes to chat about what we just saw. What do we do different now? If you're Mitch Welker, if you're Zach Buchanan, what did you learn in this race 1 that you're going to use in the second race of the day?
I think you learn that it's going to be difficult middle of the pack back. You don't want to have another big pile up like we had in race 1. So I think everyone just needs to learn from what happened in race 1 and just get through the opening lap or lap or 2 as cleanly as possible, and then worry about racing and racing hard after that.
So with all that going on, I'm just going to make sure that I get this graphic fixed. We have time remaining instead of the laps. I think that happens when how do we set with laps and time, Eric? Is that how these sessions are set up?
They are because of the
heat format,
heat function, heat settings on iRacing. They have to have both time and laps, but the laps are usually way above what the time is. So as there's never a mistake in that.
All right, so now that that's corrected, we actually will. I forgot about the warm-up, so we will get a chance to go back and look at what happened in that S's on lap number 1. This is always a fear whenever you come to this racetrack, Eric, is the turn 1 crash. You know, people think it's turn 1 at Watkins Glen. It's up the top of the hill. I think that's what ends up causing the biggest accidents is people trying to get too much. It's a place where you have to single out, and if you don't do that by the time you get there, it's usually a pretty bad time. Go back to the first race and we'll take a look at what caused that incident. It's going to take us a minute to probably even figure out who started it, but I think if we go towards the back of the field, we might have a pretty good idea. So here's a replay of the first lap and the turn 1. Look at this, 3 wide. You see there's where Brian Sohn gets hit from behind. I think that was the Drew Lidke car. And then up the hill, I think it starts up the road a little bit. This is going to take a couple tries to catch. Already a car sideways, and that looked to be the 157 of Ost. See on the right side of your screen. So he's already gone off. I wonder if we go back a little further and see if he had help. He's on the outside there of, I think, is that Crum? No, he just got loose. And then spins right back into the field, and then one of the, that's where he wasn't actually even directly involved. He just spins in front of everybody. And wow, look at the hits that some of these drivers take.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate mess. Someone just got sideways, and that starts to narrow up the options for everybody else. They try to make evasive maneuvers and aren't really able to. Really unfortunate, not something we wanted to have happen, but we definitely talked about the possibility of it with such a large field.
That's one of the drivers that I'd like to ride on board with. I think it's Sean Foes, who kind of came to a dead stop. I think he'd probably be a pretty fun driver to ride with if I can just find him on the timing screen. So here he is. Here's what he sees as he climbs the hill here on lap 1 of race 1. Great job, slow, controlled stop, and I think he mostly avoids, he stops and completely avoids all the contact here. That's always awkward trying to get back through it. But now that we're back live here, warm-up here is almost complete. We'll go racing for another 15 minutes. So with the 095 on pole for this one, he's going to have a great opportunity to stay out front of the other drivers that got to the top of the standings. But now we saw turn 1 go pretty well and the S's go wrong. Now will the S's go right and turn 1 goes wrong? I hope not.
I hope nothing goes wrong, to be honest. But right now we have still the same amount of cars. We have an inverted grid, so the slower cars are going to be towards the front. So I think these drivers are plenty capable of getting through this race without having another incident like we just saw in race 1, and it's really on them to make sure that they get that done. So that, I mean, that's really what it comes down to at the end. These drivers are in control of the type of race that they have. So we'll be looking for them to hopefully have learned from that and be a little bit more cautious through the tight sections of the racetrack on the opening lap and get through it fine and have another, just like I said, 15 minutes of fury.
All right, so with warm-up complete, we'll head down to the racetrack here in just a few seconds, and one more look at our track map for this one. Again, everyone knows Watkins, Glen, but while the track map shows the layouts and configurations here, what it doesn't show is how the track narrows from its widest at 48 feet down to 31 at the top of the S's. That's where that incident was. Again, 2.45 miles running the short course layout today, which means that you're kind of shortcutting at the exit of the carousel on the right side of your screen, shooting all the way down to turn 6 instead of taking the extra corners down there in the boot. So that's where we're at for Watkins Glen this week. Again, if you'd like to watch live timing and scoring, I'm just about to bring that back up on our website, and that'll be at simtvbroadcasting.com/timing. So going again for our second and final race of round number 3 of the season. Looking ahead to next week. Where are we going next week here? I don't have the schedule pulled up immediately.
Give me a sec. Yeah, next week is Brands Hatch.
Brands Hatch. So that's going to be an
over
interesting
the pond.
One. Across the pond and over in England. We'll head down to the racetrack. Here is your starting lineup on the left-hand side of your screen. Nicholas Morelli and Andrew Mickey will share the front row, and Colin Daner, Chris Hudson, Brian Spelski rounding out the rest of the top 5. Murphy Nichols gets a 6th place starting position, and you can bet that he is going to try to take advantage of this because he has been disappointed in himself with how his races have gone. This is a great opportunity. This is getting a little bit of luck to get yourself up towards the front. Now you just got to hang on to it.
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Murphy Nichols, because as we've mentioned, his first few weeks struggling, is above the IPR incidents per race limit of 7.0 average. So when that happens, drivers who get the benefit of the invert and get put up towards the start of race 2 are moved to the back of the field. So this is just it's just a way to try to take drivers who can't seem to avoid getting contact and incidents, and not all of them are his fault, to be fair, from getting in the front of things for the second race. But you know, it's unfortunate to happen with a race with a field as big as this, but you know, rules are rules, and we think it's better to have them that way than not.
So field on the back straightaway now as we head down. This is the other back straightaway, which I'm surprised that we didn't have as many issues coming out of here, because this is another spot where the track narrows down and it's enticing to want to run wide there. But as we head down into the bus stop, this place is easy to have issues in, and we did have issues down here, but there's more places to escape, whereas the S's kind of funnels it all down into an obliteration zone. But we'll have 15 minutes, as always. Next week we'll head to Brands Hatch. I think it'll be Finney and DeCuna taking you that one next week. I'll be off on my way down to NOLA Motorsports Park a week from now as we roll through the carousel. So Morelli, Mickey, Daner, Hudson, Shabelski, Murphy Nichols, Eric Brown, Mo Islam, Sean Unterkoffler, Corey Bunch, your top 10. Then Welker, Crum, Volandia, Johansson, Kalusa, Kundinger, Buchanan, and Isaac Snyder are your drivers from the race 1 finishing order that had been inverted. So 18th was first in race 1. That is where we are left. So it looks like Bryce Kalusa is starting from the pits, as is Mick Blue in the 96. As the rest of the field makes their way to the green flag here. Eric, cross your fingers.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. You got Morelli and Andrew Mickey on the front row. Colin Daner, Chris Hudson, two guys that could easily get to the lead very quick and run away with this if they are able to pull it off. But pace car is off. Green flag is out any minute now, and they'll head down turn 1 at full speed.
Green flag waves from Watkins Glen. The run down the hill towards the first corner. We're 3 wide already in the midfield as big dive by Unterkoffler on the inside of Eric Brown. Welker goes around the outside. Brown's getting swarmed now as we head down towards turn number 2.
Looking at potentially 3 wide going into the S's here.
Oh,
not
this is
what
not
you want
good.
to have.
Oh, that's dicey. I think we made it that time, though.
Looks to be good so far. Hopefully everyone continues to make it through just fine and head towards the bus stop for the first time. Morelli out to a decent lead over Andrew Mickey, Colin Daner, and
oh,
Chris
trouble.
Hudson.
There goes the car around. That's, I think.
That's Isaac Snyder around.
Oh, is it Snyder? It is Snyder. Other cars scattering back on track. Volandia pulling the car back on course. A little bit of 3 wide here as the rest of the field comes back on. One of the cars that I also saw go around, I guess that was Isaac Snyder. Look, the bombshell paint is different this week. Andrew Mickey goes to 3rd, Colin Daner to 2nd. Morelli leads the way as we sweep on through. Hopefully the timing will correct itself. It has been a pain in the butt tonight to get that countdown timer to work correctly in heat racing, apparently.
Yeah, I guess so. It's all over the place right now, but we do have over 13 and a half minutes left of this race. As we just started. And
there we go.
Bending into turn 1, but it looks like Hudson's going to get around him on the outside, heading into the S's. With Mo Islam on Andrew's bumper.
Islam's having a pretty okay day. I think he'd like to be a little bit higher up the order, but he's had consistency at least. There's Shabelski moving over, and Kundinger and Buchanan go on by. And Mitch Welker is already up 3 spots. He's looking for a 4th on the inside of Corey Bunch into the bus stop, chucks the car down there, has to back out, didn't quite have the room to do it. And it looks like behind Kurt Crum, they're lined up.
That's Corey Bunch trying to make a move on Kurt Crum out of the carousel, going down into turn 6.
Woo!
Crum pulls over in front of him, daring move.
Welker up the inside, he'll take that and jump into 6th spot now. I think it's going to be because Eric Beto's resetting.
In turn 6, went just completely straight.
Sean Unterkoffler, he's gone off in turn number 6. We'll have a quick look at how he found himself there. He was behind, well, I think he had internet issues, and he was having hardware problems, and he pulled back on track and headed up off. So he's just now pulling back on course as we jump back to the front. Morelli trying to build a lead, much like Welker did at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and that means that Colin Daner better get to work. He was quicker last time by 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, I think Colin Daner has the speed to chase down Morelli, but he's also got to be defending from Chris Hudson. So this is going to be difficult to be able to focus on which battle that you need to focus on and decide what's more important right now, defending for 2nd or heading for that lead.
Christian Ost behind Drew Lidke and in front of Eric Brown, who just went backwards on the start. He started in 7th. He got swarmed, kind of sucker-holed middle 3 wide. That's a very scary place to be on the opening lap of a race at Watkins Glen, but he's managed to keep the car straight and still inside the top 20. Behind him, here's Sean Foes under attack from Valandia, who went off in the bus stop on the opening lap.
Not the start Valandia was looking for, but it looks like he's going to start making his way back up front as he seems to have been given that spot right there by Sean.
Behind them, Anthony Montello popping out of line. He had trouble before. Murphy Nichols was another one of the casualties on the opening. Actually, well, you mentioned before, it was the EOL that put him back here. He's kept the car clean so far, but sort of mired in traffic behind Fernando Matos, Steve Bunting, and more. Buchanan and Johansson side by side down the backstretch into the bus stop, with Kundinger trying to follow through, and they both get through.
Buchanan's. See, I think on a race like this with the time so close, it's really difficult to make that huge ground we're used to seeing guys like Buchanan make.
Oh, there's a touch.
Oh, contact.
Morris and Foes go around at the bus stop. Just ran each other out of space. Minimal damage, they'll keep rolling. Murphy Nichols has to make a hard right to miss more contact, but they get through it. Alan Daner is working
really
his way
wide on the exit there. He's opening the door for Hudson. Even Andrew Mickey might have a run on him going down into turn 1, but it looks like he's probably going to lose this position to Hudson going into turn 1. Andrew's going to try to follow through.
He gets there. So
does so, and then Carter, is that, no, that's Mo Islam coming through on after him.
So Daner was actually closing in on the race leader of Nicholas Morelli, but with that one mistake, he loses 3 spots, so that's very frustrating for him. Mo Islam is going to complete that pass here on the back straightaway, provided he can build a sufficient run. Kurt Crum and Mitch Welker goes to the grass, trying to sweep on by, can't do it, tucks back in line.
Single file out through the bus stop here. It looks like they almost had contact.
Welker up the inside, here he goes.
Welker stuffed it on the inside of Kurt.
Oh, he slips!
Contact on the exit.
Oh.
They get Bunch and Buchanan. Looks like Carter Kundinger is now around.
Yeah, that looked funny to me though. If we go back, I think there was something really strange that happened here. If we go and look,
it almost looked like Welker started going around and then.
Watch it. It's the car acted so strangely there for a moment. Like it just popped sideways, like it got hit from somebody invisible on the. It's just the weirdest interaction. I don't believe that happened the way it did on our monitors here, so I'm sure we'll have to get another look at it from somebody else later. But that was a weird and unfortunate interaction for some of our pro drivers.
Yeah, that didn't look like it should have happened the way that it did. So not sure what happened with that.
I give up with this.
Potentially be some software issue reading the positions of the car wrong is probably what my guess would be, is that it was reading Kurt as on the to the right of Welker, when actually, as we saw, he was on the left of the field.
I give up on the timing at the top of the screen, by the way. I don't know why. It's supposed to be showing just time only, but ATVO really struggles to take directions, apparently. So we'll just have to deal with it. 8 minutes to go. It's just the weird setup of these heat races. We're sort of using it in an unintended way, and it works, but it doesn't work very well with ATVO. Chris Hudson in second. Andrew Mickey hangs on to third, but Morelli has been able to keep the lead for now. And every challenge that tries to form, it just fizzles before they can get all the way back to him.
Yeah, Morelli proved his worth as a pro driver over the last couple seasons, and he's been moved down to AM based on his performance in the first couple of weeks here. And actually, I had a specific request, thinking that he didn't really have what it took to compete at the AM level in these cars, but he's showing that maybe he does, given the right circumstances. But he's got Hudson behind him, still looking to make ground up as we have 7.5 minutes left. Andrew Mickey having an impressive run, sticking in third place still right now. I'm sure he's very happy about the fact that he's still up front, taking advantage of this invert on one of his favorite tracks to race at.
Colin Daner in a big moment leaving the bus stop, got the tires out in the grass and slipped. Jake Johansson has had an issue in the bus stop. He's found his way all the way deep into the kitty litter here. Let's have a look at how this happened. Touch from behind. I believe that was Buchanan as Johansson goes around into the gravel. A new name on the board as well, Joe Burgee. Up to 7th after starting in 22nd place. So he has managed to sneak his way up inside the top 10. And not a scratch on that Ferrari, so it will retain the same value it had when he began the race, which cannot be said for about most of these other cars tonight.
Yeah, impressive SCRS debut for Joe Berge right now as he's coming through with a running 7th place in this race after starting 22nd. That's a huge gain in an inverted race to be able to come up through the field like that.
So 6 minutes left here in our second and final race of the evening in Pro-Am. Buchanan and Shabelski, they're side by side, and again, Buchanan's lacking the straight line speed. With the damage and crowding Shabelski just a little bit to driver's left, but he has to let him go. While all that was going on, Chris Hudson has reeled in Morelli by half a second. This is far from over up at the front here.
Yeah, I think Hudson just needed to get a few good laps in, get his bearings on him now that he had 2nd place all to himself, and now he's reeling in Nicholas Morelli for this race lead with just over 5.5 minutes left. Is that enough time for him to get enough opportunities to make the run? Because I think we've seen over and over again that it's very unlikely you're gonna catch someone and pass them right away. You're gonna have to make a couple different opportunities, maybe try to get them offline from where they want to run and force them to run something different and take advantage of that. So how much time does he have to play with in order to get to the front and make the pass?
I think he's got plenty of time to get there. I think he's going to be there this lap. I think it's just a matter of where you do it so that you can get it done in one shot and drive away. Here he's going to go. I think you sit on this. I don't think you try to make this pass down here. It's too risky. And right there, he's going to back out. Morelli will charge. That's an off track there. So remember, keep him count as we head through and enter the carousel. Hudson's got Morelli on defense now and building up that wall, and Hudson's ready to tear it down.
Yeah, from iRacing standpoint, that's Morelli's first incident, so he's got some to burn before he has to worry about anything. So he can really take advantage of that bus stop for a bit. Hudson is the same. They can both kind of take advantage in a strategic way of the incidents they've seen before worrying about penalties.
This time through, 4.5 minutes to go, 4 laps to go as Morelli leads. His time, a 1:10.407 to Chris Hudson's 1:10.323 into turn 1. All about smoothness through here, carrying speed, and I like that these guys are kind of mostly remaining on track. I don't think, and people will fight me on this, I don't think that running wide in turn 1 makes you faster. I think it's an easier line to run, but I don't think it's worth the momentum when you have to pinch it off at the corner exit. Here's Hudson now on driver's left. They're going to drag race down the backstretch towards the bus stop for the race lead.
Is he far enough alongside to make the pass here? As we got a car re-entering the track after losing it in the bus stop.
Whoa, right in front of the leaders. I think that's the 81 of Eric Beddos. He's 2 laps down now. But Hudson backs out and remains about 3/10 back. Mo Islam and Colin Daner for 3rd. Islam's having a great race this time as well, from 8th to 3rd in this one. Watching the leaders, they'll be coming to 3 laps to go. And Morelli is definitely mirror driving now. Hudson, all he has to do is continue doing what he's doing, but he always catches him going into the bus stop, Eric, and that's just not a great place. You can pass there, it's just not the easiest place to do it. I think you got to do it probably into turn number 10, because it's very easy to make a driver make a mistake down there, or here into turn number 1 if you can put a driver offline.
Yeah, I think you just need to, if you're going to make the pass down the backstretch into the bus stop, you got to have a much better run than he's been able to get off of turn 1 to make it happen up through the S's. But unfortunately, I do have to step away for just a quick moment. I will be back before the end of the race, but if you can carry the load for a minute here. Thank you.
Nicholas Morelli leads the way down the back straightaway. Hudson takes a swipe to the left into the bus stop, putting Morelli offline over the curbing now. Morelli's been so good at defensive driving through this section. Hudson line astern through the carousel, trying to keep the right side tires on the curbing to carry that speed. Meanwhile, behind them, Mickey goes by Daner. That's for 4th place. Andrew Mickey having a phenomenal run here is the top spot. Morelli defensive again. Hudson back to the right, back to the left, back to the right. Can't make a decision on what line he wants behind the 095 as they work through turn 10. This time through, 2 laps to go, 5 miles from Watkins Glen. Morelli leads by 3/10. Down into the 90 for the penultimate time. All about who can carry the speed up the hill and towards the bus stop. Hudson's been flawless through here, runs a little bit wide. There's some carnage behind them. This is in turn 10. There's a big crash here. 1 car upside down. Eric Brown gets tagged. The 24 of Montello's gotten into it. What happened here? Oh, Eric Brown is already around. Tags Kyle Lamb, who's been the victim all weekend. And up and over goes Montello. An unfortunate end as we go back to the race lead. Hudson again on the attack, but cannot complete that pass down there in the bus stop. Coming to the white flag. Hudson is quicker. He has shown his nose to the inside and outside of that 0.95, but he's been cool as a cucumber out front. Unable to relinquish the spot to Hudson just yet. Good run through turn number 6. Now Hudson backs out, sets him up for a run down the front straight. White flag from Watkins Glen the final time around in SCRS Ferrari Challenge round number 3. Deep on the brakes. Nice apex for Hudson, maybe a little bit early, going to carry. He's got a good run here. He'll be there by the time they get to the bus stop, but I think he's got to stay in line here and maybe not fake it, because Morelli's been defending, and he's been defending so well that I don't think it's a way to win this race, but he's got a much better run this lap than he had in previous. For the race lead, Hudson to driver's left. Drag race down the backstretch at Watkins Glen, 1,800 feet, running out in seconds. Into the bus stop for the final time. Oh, big slide for Hudson. Morelli, absolutely perfect textbook line through the bus stop. 2 car lengths separate them. Behind them, Mickey and Daner, they're side by side. Mickey trying to defend his own position. Zach Buchanan's gone off in the background as Morelli in the 0.95. It's been a tough night for him all around, but he will come back as Buchanan tangles with more drivers in the exit of the carousel. Morelli through turn number 7. Will sweep on through. Hudson not close enough. Checkered flag to the line. Almost side by side, but Morelli gets it done. Hudson second, Mo Islam in third, Mickey fourth, and looks like Colin Daner fifth, Shabelski in sixth. And a lot of drivers shuffling positions here at the end. Bryce Calusa drag racing to the line with, I believe, was that the 584 comes in 12th this time around. Just a lot of action here on this final lap. Buchanan will bring it home in 19th place. That'll be a frustrating day for him. Let's go back and let's find out what happened to Zach Buchanan here. He was already going all wrong in the bus stop for him, and he had upside down. Holy cow, here's a look. Going back all the way to the S's. It's Ost and Valandia behind him.
Buchanan's obviously suffering some pace from having that damage on the front end, and I think Ost, he just tries to make a move around Ost on the outside on the exit of the bus stop, and they come together, sending him into the wall.
There's the other car that got a piece of that. Then he tries to get rolling here and just continues to tumble down the order. So an unfortunate end of the day for Zach Buchanan, but Nicholas Morelli gets it done from Watkins Glen. What a drive here for him. Started this race in the pole, but was able to keep Chris Hudson behind him, even with the attacking that Hudson put on. And defending in the bus stop is not an easy task. It's really easy to give up a spot there or to overdrive it, but he did a great job, and Hudson could not get the pass done.
Yeah, he started from the pole, so he had that advantage, but he definitely didn't have an easy time trying to maintain that lead throughout, and he had challenges from a few different drivers. Ultimately, Chris Hudson was never able to get the job done. As we've mentioned over and over again, how difficult it is to pull off a pass around this circuit, especially this short course. But impressive enough that he's able to come home with a win. Big gain for him as an AM driver takes home the win in Pro-Am race number 2 this week. So that'll be huge for him in points. And we see only 3 pro drivers in the top 10. That was not a good race for the pro drivers. They were not able to rebound from the inverts, and a lot of them seemed to get caught up in quite a few incidents. I think we saw that 3 or 4 car incident involving Kundinger, Kurt Crum, and Mitchell Welker as well. All pro cars getting involved in a wreck together.
And there's the rest of the order. Kurt Crum having a bad day. We already talked about Buchanan bringing it home in 26th spot. And look at this at the bottom of the order. 5 pro drivers. Kyle Lamb, he just could not get any luck tonight, involved in both of those early incidents on the first laps of the races. Sean Unterkoffler getting some bad luck, and Mitch Welker. This is just a night to forget. Getting run into and run off the track, and then the damage he received in this one as well. Liam Sheen didn't start this race, and part of me thinks that with how unlucky so many of our previous drivers got tonight. I think that's probably for the better for Liam Sheen. So Nicholas Morelli gets it done. We'll have to cut to break for a minute here. We'll be back in just a moment for some interviews. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Back live here on Sim TV with our AM race winner, Corey Bunch, in the number 69. First of all, hey, congratulations on your first SCRS victory and a couple top fives to talk about tonight, including the last race. A lot of chaos and confusion and carnage out there, but you withstood all of it. A little bit of crinkles on the right and left side fenders, but you managed to survive. Take us through your night, the challenge up front, and battling for a top 5 position.
Yeah, just first of all, I just wanted to say thanks to Pinnacle Racing for just preparing for such a great car. Didn't know what to really expect from the AM race, and was end up getting the pole, and then just, after that first mishap with the bus stop, and we just kind of just pulled away and took the win, so I was pretty happy about that. And then the pro race, there's a reason why I'm in AM and not a pro, but I was able to try to hold my own. P9, I think, is where I finished there. Not too much of a casualty, but that second race, good Lord. So it got my nerves for sure, but got in a little contact with the 77 and ended up T-boning him, and I figured I was going to really drop down, but able to salvage a P5, which I'm pretty happy about that.
It was a really good race for sure. Well, actually, a good night for you in general. We head to Brands Hatch next week. Now, Watkins Glen is a fast track that everybody knows, and I think that contributed to the big field. But if we have another big field next week at Brands Hatch, that's even tighter and smaller than this place. So your thoughts on how you're going to survive next week, which will be even more congested at times?
Only thing I'm really going to have to say is try to qualify up front, as up front as you can, because what I've come to find out mid-pack, it's a mess and a half. So I'll be definitely doing a lot more practicing to try to step in the front, and hopefully it goes our way come next week.
All right. Hey, thanks so much for talking to us. Congratulations, and we'll see you at Brands Hatch.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Sure thing. Move on now to Mo Islam, who was podium in race number 2 of the night. Mo, congratulations. Podium after a night that was pretty good. Charging through the field and avoiding incidents seemed to be kind of the name of the game, but you finally got up in there inside the top 5. Take me through your night going from 8th to 3rd in race number 2.
Well, from the race, both races, I kind of figured that consistency and keeping it clean was the key. So
Well, we head to Brands Hatch next week, another smaller racetrack that's pretty congesting feeling. Talk to me about qualifying and how important that seems to be. Do you feel like qualifying doesn't matter so much because of the invert after the first race, or in terms of I'm talking about the Pro-Am races? So you think qualifying doesn't matter so much because of that invert, or are you still trying to kind of finish well in race 1 and just kind of go from there into race 2?
no, I think I was always trying to qualify up ahead because I don't want to be stuck in one of those lap 1 incidents. So just try to stay up ahead as far up in the field as possible and just keep it clean.
All right, Mo, thanks for talking to us. Good luck to you next week. Move on now to Chris Hudson. Actually, let's talk to Isaac Snyder first. Hey, Isaac, you got a copy?
Hello?
Hey, man. Well, a New Yorker going to victory lane in the first race of the night. And
Yeah.
while the luck didn't continue for everybody the whole way through, I think in the second race you finished 18th, but still a victory on the night. Take me through that first race and surviving to bring home a checkered flag tonight.
Oh, I was just trying to figure out how to get around Liam there for the first few laps. He ran wide into one. I tried to get an advantage, but I also wanted to give him room because he ran so wide and he kind of came back so quickly that I didn't want to just plow into him and ruin it for the both of us. So I lifted off of that and eventually passed him going up to the S's, and then I knew I was quicker through the bus stop and down to the carousel and out the chute. But I think the first race, especially near the end, was just play a defensive game and just get around lap cars cleaner. I had to send it on every lap car.
Watkins Glen being sort of your home track, is that an advantage here, or does that advantage go away when it's a track that everybody sort of knows and laps over and over and over again? Did you feel like that was advantageous to you at all, or is it just another racetrack to you?
I think it's been advantageous to me. I've won both of my home tracks, which is Lime Rock and Watkins Glen in this series, and that's the only 2 wins I've ever had. So I think it does help. I should probably practice a little bit more, but I think this week I just got lucky with James having technical issues. I think he still would have had it, but I would have been okay with second behind him. He's good 3/10 quicker than all of us.
Isaac Snyder, race 1 winner in Pro-Am tonight. Isaac, congratulations. Good luck to you next week.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Moving on now to Chris Hudson, who was second place in our second Pro-Am race of the night. 1.5 tenths short, Chris. You gave it everything you had, but Morelli was just cool as a cucumber. Take me through that battle and trying to get him to make some sort of mistake.
I'll tell you, I couldn't have put more pressure on him. I mean, I was just ducking and diving and trying to get in his mirrors, and he wouldn't budge. I mean, and going into the bus stop, I was trying to kind of crowd him to the inside so maybe he would take an awkward line. I could get him on the exit, but man, he just took the perfect lines and man, hats off to him. That was just such a fun race. We were just talking about how much fun that was. So, that's what makes this league great, is having races like that, and it was just a lot of fun.
Well, next week we head to Brands Hatch, and that's, as I was telling a couple of the other drivers, it's a smaller track that is even narrower at times than Watkins Glen. And if we have a field this size once again, do you foresee the same challenges, or does a track that's a little bit slower sort of pose some different ones than we saw this week?
I think it's going to be similar. I think it's going to be tough to pass. Qualifying is going to be huge. You're going to want to get a good qualifying spot, and then yeah, I think it's going to be another tough race. But it seems to be good racing, so it's a lot of fun. I think these are good tracks so far, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right, good luck to you next week, Chris, at Brands Hatch. We'll see you there. All right, moving on now to our race 2 winner. Nicholas Morelli gets it done in the 095. From race 1 that just felt like you couldn't get any luck on your side to race 2 where you just drove so well, didn't make a single mistake in the final couple laps, keeping Chris Hudson behind you. He's not an easy guy to beat. He was the only pro driver in the top 5, and you managed to hang on to the win. Take me through that battle and how much mirror driving was going on those final few laps.
I don't think I was looking out my front windshield at all, honestly. It was one heck of a race, honestly. I felt like I could not do a single lap without making mistakes tonight. It was mistakes in qualifying, mistakes in the AM race, mistakes in race 1. I was just trying to get a clean run in race 2, try and get a 0x, and hope that everybody else behind me had issues. And it worked for the most part. And then I saw Chris running up on me, and I knew at that point it was just defensive line after defensive line after defensive line.
How satisfying is it to win a race that is that had the most ever Ferrari Challenge starters in the series? This is the biggest field we've ever had. And does that feel any more important than winning a race with 20 cars, or is it just all the same to you?
Oh, my hair was standing on end at the end of that. I think I've won 2 races in this league, and those were in the Porsche Cup cars. I've never even, I don't think, been in the top 5 in the Ferrari Challenge series so far. So to get a win here, to do it defensively, cleanly, against a pro driver, this is all I could ever ask for. That was an incredible, incredible race.
Well, we do it to get the hair standing up on the back of your neck. And, Nick, it's a fun feeling, and that's why I think sim racing is such a fun hobby. Congratulations on your win. Good luck to you next week, and hopefully you can go 2 for 2.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for broadcasting.
Sure thing. We'll wrap things up here, Eric. Wow, a lot to go over, a lot to discuss. I'm sure there'll be a lot of discussion about this race, but at the end of the day, very competitive racing at the front of the field, and I don't think the drivers, at least in the top 5, should be too disappointed. I think they had pretty solid, clean battles up there. Some messiness midfield, but that always happens at a track like this.
Yes. I think, once again, we saw 3 races that everyone was just going at their absolute hardest from start to finish. And we saw a lot of single car mistakes in the M Cup race. Obviously, we saw the big pile up in Pro M race 1, and then a lot of little car to car contact instances in race 2. And I mean, I don't necessarily think that the large grid had much to do with that. I think, like I've been saying in our Discord chat here, that the drivers are in control of the way that they drive and what they do and how they get through these races. So for the most part, I think you can track much of these incidents down to some driver error that probably shouldn't have happened. But when you're put on a track with almost 40 other cars, and that it's going to take you being at your limit to get the best finish possible, then that's sometimes the way it's going to go.
Well, next week, it won't be me in the producing the stream next week. It'll probably be Finney and DeCuna. But as we head into Brands Hatch, your expectations for that racetrack, we've been there plenty of times, and every time we've gone there, it's put on a really good race.
There was some discussion on whether or not we're using the short course there going into the season, but I think these drivers will be happy to find out that it's going to be the long course, the full Brands Hatch circuit. But I think we're going to see a lot of the same, especially if we get a similar turnout to tonight. That track is also going to be very fast. There's not a lot of room to save it. You're going to have to be on the edge, clipping the grass, here and there. Some places that you can get away with it, some places you can't. So I think we're going to see probably a lot of the same that we saw. I think the only difference is there really aren't any parts of the track that are as confined as the S's were. So you might not have that big wreck, but it's definitely possible that we have a lot of smaller incidents and single car incidents of people just going a little bit overboard next week. But hopefully everyone will learn from what we've done here tonight and be able to move on and have a better showing next week. And I think from the broadcast point of view, the racing tonight was very entertaining. I know some of the drivers are having a hard time with it, but sometimes you get that in racing. It's all part of the game, and everyone signs up for it, and ebbs and flows, ups and downs. But I'm proud of the show that was put on overall tonight, and these drivers for what they've done, showing up the way that they have.
That'll do it for us tonight. We'll see you next week from Brands Hatch. The next stream will be on Sim TV. We'll actually be on Monday night. We're done for the weekend. We'll see you. Have a wonderful Halloween. Stay safe. And we'll see you on Monday night for 3 Wide. I'm Kyle Heyer with Eric Makey. We'll see you next week.